Hey everyone, it's Minnie Alexander here. Welcome everyone. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and press the like button. I really would appreciate it. So, tonight's topic is how I won against a narcissist in court. I have noticed that on a lot of different platforms, a lot of social media platforms, narcissism and learning about narcissists is a very hot topic. I truly believe that narcissists are kind of like they're hidden amongst the crowd, and I think people are kind of learning about narcissists and narcissism and what it looks like, especially people who have dealt with narcissists. I mean, the crazy thing about when you deal with a narcissist, if you don't know what a narcissist is it's just like it's a mind trip how someone can be so off mentally. Um, now, if you're new to my channel and you do not know who I am an author, and the book that I have wrote is called A White Man's Whore. Go on Amazon and check it out. So back to the topic about narcissist. So I am not a licensed therapist or anything like that, or so I'm speaking from experience about narcissism. And so, yeah, narcissism, I mean, from my understanding, there is, people can have narcissist traits, and then people who like basically check all the boxes in being a narcissist. Now, the that I'm going to talk about how I won in court against a narcissist. This particular person was a person that I dated, and they checked all the boxes when it comes to being a narcissist. Very manipulative, the love bombing, um, the hoovering, the I'm trying to think of other terms that I went through with this particular person. Yeah, I mean, they were a full blown narcissist. It was my first time dealing with a full blown narcissist. I've dealt with men who've had traits, but just someone who is just 100% just a narcissist. It was my first time, and it was absolutely a trip. It was a very abusive relationship. One of the things that narcissists do is they try to devalue you. They, get you really high in the beginning of the relationship, the love bombing stage. And the love bombing stage for everyone is different. The love bombing stage for me in that particular relationship, I would say it was the first 3 months. The first 3 months, and looking back on it, I did see red flags. The person was controlling, but not right off the bat. They would say little things like, "Oh, well, I wouldn't like if you do this," or if we're going to be together, you can't do this. Even though I would give pushback, just the simple fact that someone's telling me, a grown woman, what I cannot do was a red flag, but I ignored it because everything else was going so well. Then it was like after the 3 months, after the love bombing, the devaluing of me started happening. The name calling, the things that they knew about me in my past, they were throwing it in my face. And all of that is basically to get control. Narcissists are control vampires. That's how you can look at them. They are so small of a person inside, very insecure. And so they need to be able to control people in order to feel like they have control, basically. They don't see people as people, they see them as objects. Objects that are there to basically feed them, feed their ego, feed who they are. So in my story, after the 3-month love bombing was over, I was emotionally attached to this person. And the trauma bond began. What a trauma bond is, when someone is in an abusive relationship and they can't leave because kind of like they're traumatized. And it's something where, and again, if I'm not a licensed therapist, so if someone can have a better definition of this, please put it in the chat. It's basically when a person is being victimized and they cannot get away from they can get away, but they choose not to get away from the person who is abusing them because they are basically mentally attached to them. So that was happening to me. And if you guys want to know more about that story, go check out my other videos. I think I talked more about it in another narcissist video I made a few weeks ago, kind of getting into more of the detail of the relationship. A lot of verbal abuse. The person would comment about my body in a negative way, about my hair in a negative way, about how I dress. It was very sickening, But on the other hand, they might give me 10 compliments, you know, but then they would give me real ugly, bad compliment, you know. But then when they give me the 10 compliments, they just did that. So then if I say, hey, why did you say this about me? Well, I usually say this about you, so I don't always talk bad about you, So it's kind of like anything a narcissist does, it's to basically justify what they do. And it can make them look like they're the victims. I mean, they're very manipulative people. So what happened with this particular person, there was physical abuse. The person physically assaulted me 3 times in this particular relationship. Um, Emotionally, I was scared of the person. Because I've never been in a relationship where a person put their hands on me. Um, Stalking, they did stalking, that's it's a very scary thing when you're home and you're trying to get away from someone and they're knocking on your door, knocking on your window, and trying to get in. And they've also assaulted you in the past. It's a very scary thing. Even walking to my front door was a terrifying thing. So this person that said they loved me basically started terrorizing me. And I would take them back because of the trauma bond. And also, I kind of found that if I took them back, it was easier or was less stressful the first possibly few days to have them back in my life versus looking over my shoulder every single second, or, being scared they're going to come to my job. It was easier to have them close, or for me to make them feel like they have me close, than for them to basically stalk me. But it got to the point, and also narcissists, not all of them, but a lot of them, they cheat. They have no sense of any kind of commitment or loyalty. So, what I found out in court with this particular person, it was they had a whole nother girlfriend the whole entire time they were with me, which is a classic narcissist. They always have somebody in their back pocket because if their main person leaves, their main source of their energy leaves, they always have a backup. Most narcissists never just deal with one person. I've never seen any narcissists that do. Maybe there's someone out here listening that is a narcissist, or um, knows a full blown narcissist and they are faithful. I've never seen one. So, what happened in this story? Um, this person, I always suspected they had someone. They were very, um, you could tell that they've been in relationships before where they've cheated because they clean their trail very, very well. It was very hard to catch them, but when you kind of just feel something or something's not off, or they're just, doing things where it's like, this doesn't make any sense. So with the verbal abuse, the mental abuse, me being scared, um, the physical abuse, and me having some kind of feeling this person was not being faithful to me, I decide. And narcissists do not want to be discarded. They don't. They want to be the person who discards. They want to tell their partner when the relationship is going to end. It's another control thing. So this person would not leave me alone. And it was like a cycle of me being done, me wanting to be free, me wanting to have control of my life again, not having anxiety. And so I'd block them. And when I blocked them, their phone, from both of their phones, then they would come by my place whenever they wanted to. Sometimes it could be they could be waiting for me outside when I get off from work. They can come at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 3 in the morning, whenever the person wanted to. So we would have a cycle where they would come, and they're very, very manipulative. If you give a narcissist, especially if you're trauma bond with them, if you give them 5 minutes, they will get you back. They will go they will go so far as to cry on their knees and plead that you are the one for them. They can't live without you. And it works a lot of the times, because normal people think, who would do this if it wasn't true? This person is breaking down in front of me. It's all an act. They're the best actors in the world. So I would have the cycle where I'd take the person back. Then they would mess up where I would feel empty because they were not giving me what I needed emotionally. And so I'd break up with them. And the cycle we had this cycle at least over a dozen times where I blocked them. Then the technique he would use is to leave stuff over my place. So, of course, if you leave stuff, another one of his manipulation tactics, he would have to come pick it up. And when he came and picked it up, he would have his 5 or 10 minutes to talk to me. And here comes the cycle again. So the last cycle, which actually ended it, I was done. I had support from a therapist, my sister, my mother, and a friend, to really where I could lean on them and be like, I need to get rid of this person. And I actually told the truth, like, this person's physically assaulted me. This is all the things they do to me. So I had kind of like a team of people I had to trust and tell the truth to of all the things I was going through, for them to really say, without judgment, you need to get away. You need to not answer him. And when day 1, day 2, day 3, I think I got up to day 7 or 8 of not truly not answering his phone calls. My support system would say, "Good job," and that was really meaningful to me. And he came by my place. It was my first time not opening my door to him. And to make a long story short, the police were called. I did not open my door. And that was when the restraining order was put in place. The police asked me if I wanted to put a restraining order, and I said yes. And the last few weeks of why it took me so long to really get rid of him was because he was actually trying to blackmail me. Um, he, without going into too many details, he secretly had something on me that he threatened to show people. So narcissists will do that. Now, in reality, someone who truly loves someone will not blackmail them. Narcissists are all about control. So going back to my story, that was the first. That was when the restraining order was put on. The night that the person came over here, threatened to bash my window in, my sliding glass window, and to get to me. and the police were called. So this person got an attorney. I did not. And I'll be honest, when I found that they had an attorney, it kind of shook me. I'm not a trained attorney, and this particular attorney was well known in the area that we live in. So I knew I was going to be going up against a very skilled, and she was actually a defense attorney. So it shook me a little bit. But anyone who's listening to this and possibly going to go to court against a narcissist, if you have the funds, um, you, I mean, I don't know if I would say get an attorney. So I'll explain why. In my case, having an attorney wouldn't have helped me, and it would have been a waste of money. Um, so we went to court. We had it was maybe 3 or 4 months after the first before when the restraining order was put in place, the temporary one, that we actually went to court, and his attorney. There was again a whole bunch of other stuff that happened in between, like continuancies, and I think we had two of them, and we kept on pushing the trial back, and so his attorney actually wanted to call witnesses. And that really freaked me out because I'm like, okay, I've never cross-examined anyone. And I knew that if I lost, this person would be calling me again. I knew if I lost, this person would be coming to my door again. He's a narcissist. He sees me as his property. So I knew going to court, I had to win because I needed to have the law on my side to keep this person away. And in the months that the temporary restraining order was put in place, he did not break it. So I knew that he somewhat was scared of the law, because that was the only time in the year of dating this person that they actually left me alone. So I knew when I was fighting in court, I was fighting for my peace and my freedom from this person. So I had my witnesses. They had their one witness. And because I did not have an attorney, I had two attorneys that I was working with that they did not go to court with me, but they prepped me. And the two attorneys were not in the same firms, which I liked it that way, because they both, when I was talking to them about the same topic, getting advice, sometimes, most of the time, they both said the same thing about giving me advice. But one attorney, the male attorney, looked at all my evidence and he said, "You can do this. Just go in there and tell your truth. And no one could tell your truth better than you." Hearing that gave me so much confidence. The female attorney, she advised me to get counsel, because she knew I was going to go up against an attorney that knew a lot more than me. Hey, Miss Matthews, I see you in the chat. Hey. So that male attorney, sometimes in life when you have some people saying you can't and some people saying you can, sometimes it's better to focus on the person who's saying you can and get that energy from them. So that's what I had to do. Even though I was still dealing with both of these attorneys, they both were giving me very good advice and looking over my documents and telling me what the outcomes might be. Hearing that one male attorney saying, "This is your truth and no one could tell it better than you. And you have so much evidence. And your story hasn't changed since the police were called up until the trial. Your story hasn't changed. Go and tell your truth." That gave me just so much kind of juice to keep going, So that's where I'm telling people, again, I'm not an attorney. So if anybody's in this situation where it's the other party, the narcissist has a attorney, I would say contact an attorney and see with all the evidence you have in your story, if it's best to get an attorney. For me, I felt that if I would have hired an attorney, the attorney wasn't there the incidences where I was getting physically assaulted. The attorney wasn't there when I was being called names. The attorney wasn't there when I was terrified, walking into my place or being in my home. I had to sit there with the lights off because I was terrified he was going to come and see lights were on and know I was home and wouldn't leave. I lived through all that. So I believe that in my case, if I had an attorney, they couldn't express that to the judge of what I went through, because the attorney only could regurgitate what I told them or what's on paper. So I'm glad I represented myself. Um, and if you are going into court against a narcissist, make sure you have everything organized. I had everything color coded. Um, and I'm in California, so I don't know whatever state or country you're in. Again, I'm not an attorney. I know in California you can record people without their consent if it has something to do with domestic violence. So I actually had a recording of the last incident I had with this particular person, where they basically said how they were going to blackmail me and how they were going to bash my back window in, and them trying to get into my door. I had all that recording. One thing that one of the attorneys told me that was a really good thing to do was, if someone or myself, like I had a recording, to do a transcript, and I did it myself. So the judge did not give me time, didn't give me time to show the video, which I actually edited to 9 minutes, and it was longer than that. So I read the transcript. What he said, what I said, what he said, what I said. And that was enough. Because on a narcissist, they're liars. They lie. So I believe what made the judge believe me was because, again, my story was consistent from the first police report all the way until I'm standing in front of the judge. My story never changed. His stories changed. His stories were unbelievable. He actually told the judge that I somehow got him, and he's 226 pounds. I'm 26 pounds. 100 pounds difference. I actually got him on the ground one night and started kicking him in his head. Incident never happened. He even said I tore up my kitchen in a angry rage. Why in the world would I tear up my own kitchen and have to clean it up? Another lie. So he fed his attorney so much lies, even though she was a skilled defense attorney. He fed her so many lies. The only thing she had to defend him was lies. And he didn't tell her that, I had the receipts to counteract their lies. So when she started coming at me with the lies that he told her, I basically had the truth in front of me. So she couldn't really, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue a lie when a person has the truth. Yeah. I'm reading the comments. Yeah, it is my kitchen, but yeah, he wouldn't help me clean it up. So there's no way I would have done that. So that's how I won in court. I was consistent in my story. I combed through all the memories that we had, and um, anything that might have tarnished my character, I went ahead and told the judge, and I explained what happened before his attorney or him could try to tarnish my character. But again, the crazy part about it was he even lied to his attorney. So his attorney was trying to defend him on lies. The crazy thing, one of the most, well, crazy and funny, was a week before I actually did no contact with him, the last no contact. I left a note on my door because we were kind of on the we broke up. I broke up with him, and I knew he was going to come by because that's his pattern. So I left a note on the door basically saying, just leave me alone. We're not working out. Just leave me alone. So he took this note that I left on my door told his attorney that I went to his apartment after the restraining order was in place and put a note on his door. He lives 45 minutes away. How crazy would that be? I put a restraining order on him. I drive 45 minutes to his place, put a note on his door to say that we're no longer together. Honey, no, when I filed a restraining order and actually continued the restraining order past when it was supposed to expire, was enough to say that we aren't together. I wouldn't have to drive 45 minutes and waste gas, um, and put a note on someone's door and basically break the restraining order to tell someone. So when his attorney gave me this paper, this note I wrote, I basically just said no and explained. And there's nothing else she could have said because it was a lie. No, he is not a Virgo. I'm a Virgo. I'm reading in the comments if you guys are listening to me right now. Please, Mrs. Matthews or Miss Matthews, explain what the Virgo and narcissist have to do with each other. Are a lot of Virgos narcissists? So, his birthday is in the end of June, which I'm not sure what that lands under, besides him being crazy. So, um, I picked up. Okay. Um, yeah. So again, I will disclose I am not an attorney. I can just tell you guys about my experience in court against a narcissist with a restraining order. Um, if your narcissist has an attorney, yeah, it is very scary going up against an attorney. But in my case, again, nobody could tell the truth like I could tell the truth. And I told the truth. And prove without a shadow of a doubt that I was being abused and I needed this person to stay away from me. So um, the trial lasts for over 3 hours. It went longer than we expected. And at the end, I got a 2-year permanent restraining order. So for 2 years, the person needs to stay away from me. The only fear that I have inside of me is when the 2 years comes, because narcissists, they are very patient when they have a source that or a person they view as property they don't want to let go, or they weren't the one to let go. So just because 2 years pass does not mean that after the 2 years, if I don't get another restraining order, which I don't know much about the courts and having a restraining order continued after the person does not break the restraining order in 2 years, if they would even grant me one. But I'm nervous that I am going to be nervous in 2 years. Excuse me. That when it expires, if I make the decision to not try to get another restraining order, that he will come back around, and or I will go through the court process and get denied, because if he doesn't break the restraining order, which I don't think he will, because I believe that somebody is scared of the law. And that was enough to keep him away from me for the months until we had a final decision in court. Let's see. Any sign can be a narcissist. All is, let's see, is required is to have a willy ego and to have, I love having it. The downside of the ego is fragile as it is will. Okay, yeah. I mean, I believe that, like my ex, I believe again he's a full blown narcissist. I mean, one way that helped me get away from him was when I started learning more about narcissism. And when I'm listening to people, especially on YouTube, talk about narcissists, and this person that I'm with was like exactly what they were talking about. And it made me realize, no, I'm not crazy. No, I'm not all the things this person is trying to make me out to be. This person has a personality disorder. That's what a narcissist is. They have personality disorders. And there's nothing I could do to make this person better. And what they basically are, energy vampires. So I feel sorry for whoever he's with right now. Not jealous at all. I feel sorry for her or them. I really do. I mean, I wish I could help them, but everybody has to go through their journey on their own and realize things for themselves. And it's not my business anymore, as long as he stays away from me. So that's my story about how I won in court against a narcissist, which when I think of him and think of a narcissist, I think of a monster. But the crazy part about it is in court, he didn't look so scary. He actually looked scared because, you know, he knew what he did. And despite him paying all this money for an attorney, the truth was the truth. And the judge believed the truth. It was coming from me. And plus, it's like, what crazy person wants to go back and forth to court to get a permanent restraining order if there was really no need for a permanent restraining order? Like, I have way more things to do in life than to put a restraining order on a person that it does not necessary. And only thing this person had to do was leave me alone. Even though they physically assaulted me, I was still trying to just have them just leave me alone and step out of my life. I did not want the law in it, even though now it's like I wish when it first happened, I had enough strength to call the police. But when you're in it, you know, have that trauma bond with that person, and your mind is not to leave. Why call the police on someone that I'm not ready to leave? So, but now everything is documented. So if this person does it again, which with me, there was no regrets in the physical violence. They actually told me that I deserved it. A person that can do that, especially with our size difference or just in general, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to stop physically abusing women. I just hope that the next woman has enough strength and courage like I had, and put a restraining order and take him to court and build on my story, that he could possibly, go to jail or get help. I actually asked the judge to have him go to classes, or actually the judge suggested it. And I basically told the judge, yes, I believe this person should go to some kind of classes, domestic violence or anger management or something. But the judge, at the end of the trial, did not force him to go to class, which I think, even though I never would be with this person again, if he went to these classes, maybe, hopefully, he could hear something to help him in realizing that he hurts people. His personality disorder truly hurts people. But that is not for me to show him. Hey, Nameless. Well, I am about to get off of here, and hopefully this helps someone who is possibly going to go to court against a narcissist, dealing with the narcissist. Be strong. It's a battle in your mind and your emotions dealing with a narcissist. I suggest build a strong support system, and be honest with the support system. If there's physical violence, verbal abuse, be strong. And when you're ready to leave, lean on these people around you who you built your support system, and get into counseling also. Dealing with the narcissist, it really, it scars a person. I think I'm a very strong person and I've been through a lot, but this relationship, it really, really changed me. It really did. But on the other hand, when I went to court and kicked his ass and an attorney's ass, it showed me how strong of a person I am and how I can stand up for myself and how I don't back down when I know that I need to protect myself and also protect my child. So, yeah, so that's my story without telling too much of who the person is. I wish I could. I wish I could post their picture on here and say, ladies in this particular area of the world, please watch out for this man. But I know I can't. Um, so, all right, y'all. So, thank you for listening to me. Yeah, please subscribe and hit that like button before you guys leave. And thank you for everyone who is in the chat. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Good night.